These are the spiders in your house.
Hello YouTube. Here we are at the start of 2024. We're all reflecting on the past year and thinking of what we're going to do with this new one. So it seemed the right time to look back over the past year on the channel, introduce myself to the newer viewers, tell the story of how this channel happened, and talk about what's coming up in the next year. It has been amazing, and that's thanks to you folks. On December 26th of 2022, I released the yellow sac spider video, my third video ever. On that day, I had 545 subscribers. Today, a year later, there are over 37,000 of you subscribed to this channel, and it has been your support that's allowed me to keep doing this. So thank you so much. You folks have been incredible. If you're wondering who actually is this balding dude who talks at a camera and chases spiders around with cheese, well, here it is. I'm Travis McHenry, and really I'm just some guy who really likes spiders. I'm a 40-something husband and dad from Alberta, but I live in Nova Scotia now. So yes, I am Canadian. Sorry. No, I'm not sorry. I've loved spiders since I was a kid, but no one told me arachnology could be a viable career. So in university, I worked on an education degree, majoring in English and minoring in mathematics, believe it or not. Never finished the degree, and weirdly, ended up as a machinist. But now I guess I'm doing a kind of educating here on YouTube, and the truth is, I love it. And I don't need to stop my videos 7 times in 12 minutes to tell you all to put away your phones. Come on, man. Honestly don't know how real teachers do it these days. My hat goes off to them. Anyhow, let's have a look at some of the highlights of the past year. The stuff you folks enjoyed watching, and the stuff I really enjoyed doing. This was me filming the cellar spider in the corner of my kitchen that became my very first video back in October of 2022. This was the one that started it all. And this cellar spider was an absolute champ, letting me film her as she wrapped up this Asian lady beetle. And just look at those legs going. This common house spider, Parasteatota tepidoriorum, gave me some more footage I was really excited to get. And I'd never seen this process up close before. Give it a little kiss here. She let me film her building her precious egg sac. And seeing these spiderlings fresh out of the sac was sort of a moment for me at that point. I'd never seen this up close before, so it was a real treat to see. And this was also the first time you saw me show you what not to do when you find this in your house. Again, it's unnecessary, please don't. Of course, then there was the development of the cheese test, which turned into a regular thing on the channel, and the bite from the yellow sac, as well as the warning from this hobo spider, were both exciting events to catch on video for me. I learned a lot from those. But you know who learned nothing from those? Stupid cheese. You all saw me using my kids' stuff on several occasions to illustrate sciencey things. And again, thanks to my kids for letting me use their stuff. The Parson spider. This one will always be special to me, as in the course of making that video, I stumbled across a hunting behavior of these spiders that it seems has never been documented before. And that was really big for me, and I'm still hoping to circle back around to it and study it a bit more. These are some of the most beautiful spiders I've ever found in my house. That led me into some high-speed videography and let me explore and share things like how jumping spiders actually pull off the acrobatics that they do. I had never imagined that I'd be able to capture stuff like this. It's one thing to read about how they do it, but it's another to see it with your own eyes and then watch what you just saw slowed down. And catching one actually striking prey was a thing I'll never forget. And I was thrilled to be able to share that. This wolf spider strike was one of the most dramatic things I've ever seen, and the experience of bringing this female inside to safety along with her egg sac, being able to observe her behavior for a while, and seeing her eventually emerge from her burrow with her spiderlings on her back was a first for me. And there was something genuinely touching about watching her run back into the leaves when I released her with her offspring to go out and carry on the cycle. The Lego for scale idea seemed to not only give you folks a bit of a laugh, but seemed to actually be effective. It ain't stupid if it works, right? This was so much fun to do, and I'm definitely going to do it again. A huge highlight for me this year was getting to know some of the actual arachnologists out there doing the research on these animals. Hearing from them firsthand and learning the surprising ways in which science actually happens sometimes, it's been a huge eye-opener for me. They're all amazing human beings, and I can't thank them enough both for their help and just for the experience of being able to talk with them directly. So it has been an incredible year and a bit. But let's pause and back up. How did this start? What circumstances, what bizarre alignment of the stars makes a middle-aged machinist start a YouTube channel about spiders of all things? Well, one day I saw this cellar spider wrapping up an Asian lady beetle in the corner of my kitchen. I'd just started playing around with an old macro lens a friend had given me, so I shot some close-up photos and video. And I thought it would be a fun project to put together a video profiling the cellar spider, dispelling some myths, and clarifying some things. To my surprise, it actually got about 80 views in its first month, which was honestly better than I expected for a first video. I had some common house spiders living in the basement, so I thought I'd do a video on them too, but I wanted to be sure I was giving accurate information, so I started tracking down scientific papers. Now, around the same time, I had found a spider I couldn't identify, so I googled around looking for arachnologists in Nova Scotia who might be familiar with it. And that's how I got to know Dr. Catherine Scott and Dr. Sean McCann, who really guided me in how to go about researching and finding primary sources. At that point, the channel was starting to take shape, and my reasons for doing it, as well as my goals for it, were crystallizing. My whole life, anytime I found a spider, I always wanted to know more about it. But I found myself constantly frustrated by the information that was out there about them. Sometimes it was too basic to answer the questions I had, and other times it was contradictory, with one website saying one thing and another saying the opposite. So it was never very useful, and I always came away from it disappointed. I also knew a lot of people who were terrified of spiders or just repulsed by them, and that always saddened me a little bit, as I'd always found them to be beautiful, fascinating creatures who deserved way more love than they got. And I always wished I could help dispel some of the bad myths, alleviate people's fear of them, or perhaps even help people appreciate them a little more. So by the time I put out that second video, I realized that a YouTube channel could be the means by which I could start doing that. And now that I had some better tools and skills, and had learned how to find and sift through the actual research on them, I was excited to put it into a form that anyone could engage with. This was also the point where I realized the value of learning not only what we know about spiders, but how we know it. Because it's one thing to say, this spider does this thing in this way, and it's another to be able to say, and here's how we figured that out. And it turns out, a lot of you wanted to know that too, because that second video somehow hit 10,000 views in its first month. Then I covered the yellow sac spider because I had a bunch of them living in my house, and that one took off, hitting 430,000 views in its first month. And it was at that point that I knew I had to keep doing this, because it turned out that people really wanted to know so much more than I'd thought. So I kept at it, you folks stuck with me, and here we are now kicking off 2024, and I've got plans. Of course, I will be continuing on with the Spiders in Your House series, as there are still plenty of spiders to cover that show up in your kitchen or basement or bathroom, usually at the worst times. And yes, I've heard your comments. I know which ones you've asked for the most, and they're on the list. Hint, this includes the ones you might be right to be cautious of. And I'm going beyond that this year. People may be most concerned about the spiders they find in their houses, but there are a lot of them just outside the back door that we live beside too. And so, I'll be starting in on...
These are the spiders in your yard.
Now, there are a couple of obvious ones to cover, the cross orb weaver, the dark fishing spider, but I'm also going to cover some that you never knew were there. Also, I'll be doing a series on spider basics, the stuff you never knew you wanted to know. This is going to start from scratch, looking in detail at things like what makes a spider, fundamental spider anatomy, the process of identifying a spider, and other topics like that. And I'll touch on some of the methods you might use in your own exploration of the world of spiders. So this is what I've got planned for 2024. I'm really excited about this upcoming year. I'm really looking forward to diving into all of the spiders on the list, and I'm especially looking forward to showing you how you can do it too. Now, before I end this one, I want to talk about you folks, my viewers. I cannot tell you enough just how awesome you are. You have liked, you have subscribed, you have shared, and the comments. You are the most thoughtful, encouraging, inspiring viewers a content creator could ask for. You always have such supportive things to say, some great questions and helpful feedback, and on the days when doing this is tough, those comments remind me that it's worth it, that you're watching, you're listening, you genuinely want to learn what there is to know about these incredible creatures, and that for many of you, this channel has been genuinely helpful in easing some of your fears, taking some stress and anxiety out of your life, and maybe even turning some of that fear into something like wonder. I never expected this channel to be as successful as it has been, but because of all of you, here we are with 37,000 of you subscribed, and that number growing. Let's see if we can double it this year. I appreciate every single one of your views, your likes, your comments, even though I can't respond to every one. I do read every single comment, and you folks are awesome. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. You got me this far. Let's keep it going in 2024. Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Cheers.